Welcome to the Seat of Sacrifice. This is the mystery trial of Shadowbringers patch 5.3 and it puts you right up against the Warrior of Light Elidibus himself. While this fight is fairly mechanic heavy, it isn't all too unfamiliar, but there is some definite areas to look out for. But as always, let's just jump right into the fight. The first major mechanic will start very briefly after pulling. It is called Terror Unleashed and it will drop everyone's HP to 1 and place a Walking Dead debuff on them. Everyone's HP must be topped off before this debuff's time runs out or they will die. The next couple of casts are regular old AOEs ranging from a collection of circles around some players, a large circle around the boss, and one where the only safe zone is within his hitbox. Avoid these as always. The boss will then place markers over everyone's heads, either a fire with a pause symbol or an ice marker with a play symbol. If you get the fire symbol, you will also get a debuff called Pyretic, which only lasts a few seconds. During this time, do not move or attack. If you get the ice marker, keep moving until deep freeze has passed to avoid being frozen. This works exactly like X-Death's raid mechanic if you have done this fight before. After this, the boss will take either a fire stance or an ice stance and cast an AOE similar to before. If fire, dodge the AOE and wait for Pyretic to once again be lifted, and if ice, dodge the AOE and keep moving once again. This mechanic will be done throughout the fight, so be aware of his stance and know how to combat it when he casts these AOEs. Sword of Light will be thrown and will land on the north end of the arena, which will then start heading for the southwest and southeast corners, drawing a triangle. If you are inside the triangle when it finishes drawing, it will result in an instant death. Bring the boss outside and continue hitting him from there to dodge it. You will also have to be aware for a dragon ad along one side of the arena and quickly move to the other side to also avoid another instant death hitting attack. The phase transition should be right after this move. If anyone is down, they will be revived for this phase whether res by a healer or not. Mash the buttons as much as you can and then grab the popcorn for the movie you're about to watch. The first part of Phase 2, the boss will get 4 bars of Limit Break and charge a massive attack towards the party. Once this boss gets all 4 stacks, a tank must LB3 in order to avoid a wipe. If this is successful, you will pass the checkpoint and will be able to restart the fight from here if you encounter a wipe. The second phase is mostly the mechanics from the first phase, but kicked up a notch with a few twists. Firstly, 4 Meteor Markers will show around the platform that require 2 people to stand in each platform. There are 8 of you, so I'm pretty sure you can do the math on this one. Directly afterwards, an AOE will be cast on one of the platforms mentioned earlier, and once again his fire and ice stance will have the associated effect. It will not be a huge deal if you miss it, but it's best to pay attention to avoid the unnecessary damage. 2 circular AOEs will appear in 2 corners and will grow and expand until overtaking a good portion of the platform. The dragon ad will once again spawn on one edge of the platform, so the main tank should bring the boss to the opposite corner. A random player will be marked with the spread arrows and can now safely run through the center of the arena to separate from the group, while the rest of the party can gather for the stack marker. Directly after, the boss will cast the bitter end, which is a very hard hitting tank buster, so you should heal and shield as always. A few players will then be marked with orange arrows. The boss will shoot a large cone AOE at these markers. Separate them from both each other and the rest of the party to avoid unnecessary damage once again. You will then cast 2 linear stack markers to be put down on 2 random players. Split your group in twine and stack up to make sure not to overlap. Next, 4 players will be marked with very large AOEs. Each of these players should run to one of the 4 corners of the arena, and everyone else should find a safe space in the middle to best handle this mechanic. The next Sword of Light is similar to one before, only there's an extra sword on one of the sides. The safest spot is the corner in between both swords' initial starting point, so bring the boss and stack outside the drawn triangles to avoid another instant death. You will also have to deal with another fire and ice mechanic, but you're a pro at that by now. Afterwards, the floor will light up in a familiar pattern. This works exactly like Tidal Wave and will knock you back, so position yourself on the correct edge and get ready to stack again shortly afterwards. Lastly, 4 dragons will tether to 4 players. If you get tethered, face the tether to the outside of the arena, as they do turn into large AOEs. From here on out, it's pretty much a rinse and repeat. Keep your eye on his stance and act accordingly. Overall, this is a satisfying infight to the Shadowbringers saga, and while it may be off-putting and intimidating to certain players, it is definitely a rewarding experience. As always, thank you for your time. I'm Ricky, you're not, and I'll see you whenever I do next.